Welcome back to the dojo, everybody. This is TruTalk with TruMotion, where a couple of guys talk about how to make the world a better place and hopefully make your day a little bit better in the process. My name is Mark, followed by my co-host Stephen.
Howdy.
Let's get things kicked off. Well, first off, it's kind of like our 4th of July episode.
It's our 4th of July episode.
Even though it's not gonna be coming out on the 4th of July. So I guess we'll just kind of talk about, instead of a recap on the week, like, how was your 4th of July? What did you do for the 4th?
Oh, wow, yeah. The 4th of July for me was really good. It was a lot of work. I have dogs, so it's like taking care of them.
Yeah.
I really enjoy fireworks, but I really don't enjoy fireworks anymore now that I have dogs.
Yeah.
So I had a good time. I actually had some people over, and I had a barbecue. But once the rockets and the bombs and the red glare started appearing, it's like, oh, time to take the dogs inside and comfort them while they go through their panic attacks.
Yeah, hunker down for the evening.
Yeah.
Luckily, my dogs don't really care too much about that, which is nice. Yeah, well, there was one that was a kind of a big boom towards the end of the night, and it startled them because it was like loud and it like kind of shook the house, and that like woke them up, and they're like, "What was that?" But other than that, they were just kind of just like, whatever. So luckily, our dogs don't really freak out too much about the fireworks, but I have had dogs in the past where we've had to give them like tranquilizers so they can like sleep, because they will just be freaking out, or they would try to run. And then, that's when you have to worry about them running away and all that stuff. So, but,
what did you do?
My 4th was, every year we get together with, my parents, and it happened to be that we got together with, some of Shanna's family, the Carltons.
Oh, nice. And,
we went to the Murray Parade. We ended up always going to the Murray Parade. So that was a lot of fun. That's a lot of work. I shouldn't say a lot of work, but, I'm not one of these people that saves their seats a week in advance, which that drives me absolutely crazy.
How do you even manage that?
Okay, so this is on State Street in Murray, okay? Right, just north of Fashion Place Mall all the way to Murray Park. That's the parade route, okay? They will have people mark off sections of grass and sidewalk a week before the parade. Sometimes they will even leave chairs there a week before the parade. And I'm just like, I cannot stand these people. It's like, just show up early. If you don't show up early, you don't get a good seat. Now, they're like, well, we are showing up early. No, the day of the parade.
It's interesting.
Show up early the day of the parade.
This is interesting. It's very, Black Friday kind of.
Yeah.
Like camping out in front of the store.
They get way into it, and all of a sudden you're just like, there's nowhere to sit, and we're here like 2 hours before the parade. Yeah, they steal all the spots, and they mark them off with like
is that enforceable?
Tape.
Is that enforceable?
Yeah, because they said it was theirs, and it's like, because it's because we live in Utah.
It's because we live in Utah.
Everybody's like, oh well, I guess someone's claimed it, so I can't. I gotta let it be.
Very passive.
Yes, very much passive. I can't stand it. Sometimes I like contemplate stealing their chairs and giving them to Goodwill. That's just like
interesting. Interesting that you'd say that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna take all of them and, hey Goodwill, here's a bunch of camping chairs. Do them with them as you please.
So you're saying if you're in the market for a camping chair, show up the first week in Murray somewhere.
After the 4th of July.
Show up right there and be like, oh, look.
Exactly. But no, so what Jamin and I ended up showing up to the parade around 7 a.m. And I've found the secret to finding a spot for the parade.
There's a secret, okay.
Yeah, and if anybody starts stealing it and I don't get my spot next year, all hell is going to break loose. So just letting you know.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first. They can't block off or section off intersections.
Oh, intersections.
It's like if you're pulling into a parking lot, that has to stay clear throughout the week.
That's right.
So, but the day of the parade, you can start plugging it up as early as you want. So I back right up into one of those empty pulling spots. We unload the car with the canopy and camp chairs and music and a cooler, and we're set. So yeah, Jamin and I show up a few hours early, and then everybody else kind of trickles in at the end and reaps the benefits.
I need to figure out this because it sounds like these parades are a bigger deal than what I've assumed.
They're not, to be quite honest with you. I mean, but it's a fun tradition.
It's a tradition, yeah. And you've got the stuff, and you've got the swag, and you've got the
I mean, truthfully,
pop-out tent. And
the Murray Parade, I mean, it's a nice parade. It's a bunch of just politicians trying to peddle their, like, oh, vote for me, vote for me. You know, a couple of businesses trying to, like, drum up some business. And, yeah, it's really... It's fun just going to the parade, the act of setting up for it, being with family. They throw candy, so everybody's trying to get candy.
Oh yeah, you know, you get to see the children fighting. And
oh yeah, like
it's one of the natural American wonders.
We even had adults running out there and like taking candy, and then obviously giving it to the kids and this and that.
Yeah, you know.
So Shanna's uncle Lindy was there, and he's a school teacher with little kids. And he's like running like across the street to like pick up candy, and then he gives it to the little kids and all that stuff. So I mean, truthfully, the parade itself is kind of unremarkable, but the act of going to the parade and being with family and like seeing everybody in their patriotic garb, that's really what it's all about. I mean, because we used to do the parade here in South Jordan all the time. And like, so Maya and Shannon are like, you should do the parade next year. I just want to throw candy at the parade. And I'm like, no, we're not doing the parade next year. Because every time we did it, it was a gigantic pain in the butt. Okay, so imagine you're showing up to a parade with little kids and teens and adults, all the whole 9 yards.
The whole dojo.
And you have to be there 2 hours before you're even allowed to walk. Okay. Now, let's say the parade starts at 8:30. Okay. That's when the first entry starts. If you're entry like 100, you're still not walking for another hour.
That's right.
Okay. So now you've been there 3 hours with zero movement. Now you've got a whole bunch of itchy kids that are like trying to like run around and play, and it's okay, now it's time. The parade's starting now, guys. Like, whatever. March. And, eventually we did it one year where everybody just walked. We did it one year where we had a trailer. We did it one year where we just had a bus driving by. And the amount of money you spend on candy is ridiculous. You could easily spend upwards of $700 to $1,000 in candy.
What?
Just in candy.
That's a lot.
And I was like, I'm going to be smart, and I'm going to divvy it out in bags to all the students. And once their bag's gone, it's gone. Well, that was a mistake because
it was a mistake.
It was a mistake because instead of just letting them grab like a couple at a time and then throwing it, they had control of their bag. And I gave it to them too early one year. And the first people they saw, they literally dumped their entire bag right in front of them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like $400 just right to these people. They're like, well, congratulations, people, you got the jackpot. So that's why I don't like doing parades anymore. Right. And the worst part about it is it doesn't drum up any business for you.
Oh yeah.
So like, oh, you were that martial arts school in the parade. Yes, we were, even though you weren't. So.
Interesting.
It's a weird thing with parades. I mean, you can go through and flyer them and all that stuff, but again, it's all a numbers game. So I'd rather just be the person that sits and enjoys it and watches it and just be like, oh yeah, good job, way to go, that's fantastic.
Very fair.
Time to leave. So yeah, so we do that every year, and then we just a very kind of casual day. Try to take some naps and stay out of the sun, and we had we smoked up some some hot dogs and brats, and watched patriotic movies. So
very nice. Yeah, very nice.
We ended up watching American Sniper, The Patriot, and I watched Fury later in the evening. So if you haven't seen any of those patriotic movies, that'd be great. That'd probably be a good top 5. But that's not our top 5 for the week. Our top 5 for this week is top 5 favorite holidays.
All right.
Since we had a holiday yesterday, we kind of like put it out there and see what everybody's top 5 holidays are.
Mm-hmm.
So, Stephen, what do you got for your top 5 holidays?
I'm going to have to go with Thanksgiving, 4th of July, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, Labor Day, and then runner-ups are Mother's Day and Father's Day.
Okay. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my top 5, starting at 5, is Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because we typically go on vacation.
Yep.
So that's why we got Christmas on there. Then my number 4 is Memorial Day.
Mm-hmm.
As I'm getting older, that one's becoming more important.
It is. It's very important.
Just because you always want to remember those people that did make the ultimate sacrifice for us and the way we could live today.
Yep.
And then number 3, sounds weird coming from a dad, but Mother's Day. You know, dads, I mean, you don't need we don't need that much appreciation. So it's like we don't need a whole day dedicated to ourselves, as long as every now and then we're like, hey, Dad, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
And you like make us a dinner or whatever. Like, we don't need a whole lot. I'm not saying mothers need a whole lot, but also mothers don't get a whole lot of appreciation as well. So I know how important my mom was to me and how important Shanna is to our kids.
Mm-hmm.
You always want to make sure that and again, you probably don't want to use just a day for it. You always want to make sure you always show them that you appreciate them. So I got Mother's Day for number 3. And the last 2 will flip-flop depending on when you talk to me. Okay?
Oh.
So since it's being the 4th of July,
4th of July.
I got 4th of July as number 1. And
Okay.
Thanksgiving is number 2.
So this is a seasonal list that changes.
Now, if you talk to me near Thanksgiving, I'm probably going to say Thanksgiving is number 1 and 4th of July is number 2. But hence being the 4th was yesterday, I'm going to have to say 4th of July is number 1 and Thanksgiving is number 2. So,
Interesting.
yeah, you can't really go wrong with, celebrating your Independence Day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a very special day. And again, as I'm getting older, that one's becoming even more important to me. So, well, that's our top 5 for this week. Let us know what your guys' top 5 are. If it's very similar to ours, not really like ours.
If it's completely different.
Completely different. Like I talked to Shanna and Maya
holidays.
about it yesterday, and Maya had Valentine's Day on there.
Whoa.
And I was like, interesting. And I think Shanna did too. And she goes, Shanna did it not for the day, because we don't really celebrate Valentine's Day, but she did it for the month.
February?
Yeah, the month of February. We got a lot of stuff going on. Like my parents' birthdays are in February. Mine's in February. The Super Bowl's in February.
That's like a holiday. Why didn't you put that on the list?
Honestly, we contemplated it.
Yeah.
We're like, is the Super Bowl a holiday? It should be.
It should be.
It very well should be. And I think they're actually trying to pair it to where they move it back to where the Monday after the Super Bowl is President's Day. So for those federal holiday people, you'll get the day after the Super Bowl off.
Yeah.
Because you always need the day after the Super Bowl off from
always do.
All the emotions and food and all that stuff. So, yeah, let us know what your guys' top 5 is, and see how we compare. Now, real quick before we move on to the next session, here's a word from our sponsor.
Up! Hey, listen up. It's time for you to take your school spirit to the next level. How? You gotta go to the TruMotion merch shop. It's your destination for all karate-themed apparel and swag. Whether you're looking for shirts, hoodies, PJs, water bottles, or unique gear to showcase your passion, TruMotion merch shop has got you covered. New designs drop all the time, so it's always fresh. And the best part? Any item can now be personalized with details like names and colors. It's your swag, your way. Don't wait. Unlike the 4 steps to a kick, there's only one step here, and that's scanning the QR codes on your membership card or at the South Jordan or West Jordan locations to get your TruMotion merch shop on your phone. Link in the description. Plus, first-time shoppers can use code TruMotion10 to snag $10 off your order of $50 or more. That's TRUMOTION 10. Use the Contact Us link on the shop page to begin discussing that perfect swag that will help you win big at your next tournament. You don't need to get punched in the face anymore to show your dojo spirit. Order your TruMotion merch today.
Thank you, sponsor.
Thank you, sponsor.
Thank you, sponsor. Now moving on to the Ask a Sensei portion of the show. This week's questions or Ask a Sensei is all 4th of July themed.
America themed.
America themed. If you can't tell what this episode's about, it's about America. If you could see me, I've got American flag pants on.
Very patriotic.
It's my Rex Kwando pants, actually.
Yep.
So, question number 1 is, what does the 4th of July truly mean to you?
That is interesting, because understanding that it's the day, right? It was around the time that the Declaration of Independence was created, and it's like so historically it's important because it was the direction that the founding fathers took.
Yeah.
Right. What it means to me, it's just a time to catch up with your family, with your people, with your friends. Like, I remember going to parties, having barbecues. I had a barbecue yesterday. It was a good time. It was a really good time. Serving and providing for others is very fulfilling. And compare that with, fireworks, light shows, whatever really, like movies even. Just another very nice day to spend with your family or friends.
Yeah.
It means to me the freedom to do that. It's important, and we have so many freedoms that we don't even think are freedoms.
Yeah, I was gonna say it always constantly reminds me that we take for granted the amount of freedoms we do really actually have. The fact that we can sit here and talk about whatever we want to talk about on a podcast and send it out to everybody, that's a big one.
Yeah.
There's places in the world where you're not allowed to do that.
No.
You're not allowed to speak your mind. You're not allowed to challenge things. You're not allowed to have an opinion or openly express things that may or may not fit the narrative. And the wonderful thing about America is the ability to disagree with people and still be in the same area. Okay. I mean, I know right now we're getting a lot of narrative on how divisive we are as a country. Okay. And I do think that there's a lot of diversity, but not in the way that most people think. We are probably the most diverse country. Not probably. We are the most diverse country in the world. Okay. There's no other place in the world where you could have a Muslim family living in the same neighborhood with a Jewish family.
That's right.
Or an Ethiopian family living in the same country as a family from England. Or you pick it. We have almost every nationality in the United States living together. Now, do we agree on everything? No. But the fact that you have the ability to disagree on something is very huge.
Right.
Because there's sections of the world where you can get beheaded for not going to the same church. Right. And it's like, okay, if that was a problem, we'd have a huge problem, because we've got all sorts of different types of religion and beliefs and all that stuff here in the United States. So when people are like, oh, we're so divided and we're so inclusive and it's only this and it's only that, I really have to stop and think, well, are they right by saying that, or are they angry? Okay, if they're angry, I always have to ask them, I go, are you okay? Because you're very bitter, and like you're coming at us with like all this hostility. Did something happen? Are you okay? Is there anything I can help you with? As opposed to be like, what are you talking about? You're an idiot, and blah 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 blah. No, you can't talk to people that way. They're here. They're Americans. Okay, you may not believe everything you want to, but it's like they're family at that point. If you live here in America, you're family. I don't care what nationality you come from. I don't care what religion you believe in. I don't care what race you are. I don't care what gender you are. I don't care what you identify as. It does not matter. If you live here in America, you're family. Now, does that mean I always have to get along with you? No. That's okay. That's perfectly fine. Why? Because I don't want everybody to be like me. That'd be a pretty boring place to be, let me tell you. Okay? So the fact that we can have this much diversity and still coexist, that is a huge deal. And it's never happened anywhere else in the entire world. Or in the entire written history, I would say. Okay? Other cultures from other areas were always pitted against each other. The other ones were bad. Ooh, bad people. No, not here with us. So it's like, the 4th of July, for me, it's like that acceptance.
There you go.
Know?
Okay.
And it's, freedom and acceptance. You know, even the flag. I mean, the flag's gotten a lot of heat also. When I see the flag, I think of a place that anybody can come to. Okay? You're not excluded. If you want to have the opportunity to live here in America and build a better life for yourself, well, do it the right way. In fact, I actually told him this morning, Finn's dad is Canadian.
Okay.
He's been in the United States for quite a while. He just got his citizenship yesterday.
Nice.
Actually, not yesterday, on the 3rd. July 3rd, he became a U.S. citizen. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is the best news ever. And he's a great dad, a great provider, everything you would think about as a good person. Now he's considered a U.S. citizen.
There you go.
And it's like, hey, welcome to the family, buddy.
Yeah, when I was in 8th grade, the school janitor, he's from South America, he got his citizenship, and we, like, the whole school, it was a small school, but we all, like, I was in band class, I played drums, so I was doing the snare drum, and we were doing, like, we all had a thing for him when he came back after getting his citizenship. We were out there.
Yeah, what do they call it? Serenaded him in.
Yeah, we serenaded him in.
Gotcha.
It was funny.
That's awesome. And those are awesome, like, stories you always want to hear about all the time. And then there was a story where another family, they were from India. They had been here for about 10 years. And they had to, like, they ended up getting Canadian citizenship because it was faster. And they needed citizenship relatively quickly because their visa was running out.
Oh.
And it was either they get citizenship somewhere or they get shipped back to India. And, like, they're very successful people. They had their own careers. And they're like, they were scrambling, and the U.S. they weren't moving fast enough for them. So there's some instances where that comes into play, where you're just like, dang it, they were a good family, you know. And we lost them because we couldn't get them in through the system fast enough. So, but moving on to the next question, it is kind of along the lines of 4th of July, but what does being an American truly mean to you?
What does being an American truly mean to you?
Yes.
That's a good question. That's having not been anything else but an American.
That's true. I've never been anything
else. I can't compare it to much, but you hear the talking heads, you hear how things are, you hear people's stories, and then you hear the conflicting arguments by your politicians. And I don't want to get political on this. Too political on this show. We're already kind of political, and you hear, like, okay, so you hear the opinions of those in charge saying, like, oh, we need to be like this country. Then you hear the people that are from that country saying, no, that's why we're here. We're here in America because we left that country.
Exactly.
So I think it's an interesting dichotomy that the grass is greener on the other side. If you're not naturally from here, it might be easier to see how wonderful the freedoms are, how the things we take for granted. Like, we can travel between states.
Yeah.
We can go to states that have coasts and go to the beach. We don't need a passport to do that.
Yeah, that's very true.
You can go to the mountains. You can go to any of the 50 states. You can fly to Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't need a passport for that.
No.
Unless you're not from America. And
Yeah.
then it's like, oh, well, there we go.
Well, once you get into America,
you know, today I just
you
got
can
my
drive to anywhere.
Yeah, my global entry today.
Oh, did
I
you?
got it in the mail. So I can come into America very easily.
That's good.
But I'm already here, so it's like,
Yeah.
well.
No, I think that's very, very true. I mean, most people. I follow this group or these couple of dudes on Instagram that are from Britain,
Mm-hmm.
and they come and they tour the United States. And he always gets a lot of flack from his mates back in Britain about, like, man, these Americans, they don't travel anywhere except in their own country. And he goes, this is true. And he goes, and let me tell you why this is true. He goes, most people in Europe don't understand the vast mass of
The immense
United States.
land mass.
Yeah, they're like, the United States is ginormous. He goes, comparing it to the Europe, we could fit like 2 or 3 Europes
2 or 3 Europes in there.
in the United States. He goes, I had to talk to my friends. He goes, guys, you don't understand how big the United States is until you're actually there. He goes, you can drive 5 hours and still be in the same state. And he goes, you drive 5 hours in Europe and you're in 4 different countries.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, you're going to get a little bit more cultural diversity in terms of, like, visiting different areas when you live in Europe because they're so jam-packed close together.
Yeah.
You're going to see all sorts of cultural diversities in the United States based on where you drive and where you go. And he goes, it's the same thing, but they're all Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So it was wild, the fact that, Americans get a lot of heat for not traveling worldwide. And it's like, at the same time, it's like, do we? The only thing that you would want to travel outside of the United States for is history.
Right.
Like going and visiting historical places. Because we're not quite that old to have historical ruins. We're working on it.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting there.
But our country is a little over 200 years old.
Yeah, we're still very, very young in the grand scheme of things. That was something Sarah, one of our students, went over to Europe a couple years ago. And she goes, the biggest difference is when you go to a cemetery, you see graves that are like 1435.
Whoa.
Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not like 1876 and, like most of the ones you see in the United States. So she goes, that just tells you how old these countries actually are compared to America. So, I mean, but yeah, I agree with you. The fact that you can travel from state to state and not need a passport is a very, very telling thing. Okay, it shows that we trust everybody here in the United States, or we trust a lot of people here in the United States, and we're not trying to control people from traveling from area to area.
Right.
It's like, oh, you can only travel here as if you only have this passport.
Right.
Or if you only have these types of papers. Okay. No, once you're in America, you have access to all of it. And there's a lot of it here. So I think what being an American means to me, again, same thing with you. I've never been anything else.
Going back to the second question.
Yeah, because I've never been anything else either.
Mm-hmm.
I have been to a couple other third world countries, and I guess my biggest thing is thankfulness. Thankful because we live in a society that has such an overabundance of everything. And it's like, I'm thankful that Excuse me, I keep yawning. I'm thankful that I can go home every night to a house that has electricity. The fact that I can flip a switch and instantly think my lights are going to turn on, I'm very thankful for that. When I walk up to my sink and I turn the faucet on, I expect to see water running out of it. I'm very, very thankful
Clean
for
water,
that.
too.
Clean water.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm very thankful for the fact that I have a refrigerator filled with food.
You can leave your house any day you want. You can drive
Yes.
your car any day you want.
Yes.
Those are...
You know, I'm very thankful for the fact that I have multiple pairs of clean clothing.
What, you do?
No.
I only see you in the karate gi.
It's mainly just gis and t-shirts,
Okay.
So maintaining that sense of thankfulness and that sense of gratefulness. You know, a lot of times we get too comfortable with having everything. Like, oh my gosh, my iPhone 14s 30 Plus, you know, won't load fast enough. I got to sit here for 5 seconds. Oh, okay, people. Yes, you're going to have to sit there for 5 extra seconds while your stupid game loads up.
Ooh.
Like, that stuff drives me crazy. But being thankful and grateful, that's what it means to me.
That's what it means to you. Nice. I think that's a good one.
The last question is, how do we reinstall that type of national pride or national patriotism and that sense of loving one's country back into society?
So we're assuming that we're on the decline here.
I am
think
assuming
so.
we are on the decline as well, just for the fact that there were people at the parade that like had no
America gear.
No American gear, which, I mean, we'll give them a pass. It's hot,
Yeah,
but it's like they didn't even care. They were just there for the candy.
If you don't wear red, white, and blue, doesn't that mean you get punched on 4th of July?
I think it should.
That's
Just like, you know,
tradition.
St. Patrick's Day and wearing green.
Yeah.
But if you're not wearing green, if you're not wearing red, white, or blue on the 4th of July, like, instead of pinching people, just flat out punching them. That's right. Just, why are you unconscious? I don't know. Some guy with American flag pants walked by and punched me in the face. Oh, I know. I'm not wearing anything patriotic. My bad.
Oh,
Like, yeah, don't you forget it.
don't you forget it. I agree. I think American values are being eroded. And I think to install those, we have to look at what got us to be where we were, right? Boston Tea Party. America was so pissed about a 3% tax on tea. And so they swarmed it. And that's like the grit and the no nonsense kind of behavior that we need to reinstate. I think we've let people get into power that are, well, I mean, I pay more than 3% in taxes, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a good. We need to get back to bringing the wealth to letting people keep what they earn, more of what they earn.
Very much so.
It's debilitating and disheartening when it's like, oh yeah, I worked so hard, but there's.
I'm gonna give at least.
Here you go,
35%
Uncle
of my
Sam.
check.
Here you go.
Yeah.
And you have to plan for that stuff, and it's like there's so many. I don't know. So many complex loopholes and contractual obligations and agreements and things that it's just like we've gotten away from the spirit of trust, the spirit of like brother helping brother, family helping family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's now we're almost in a state where it's like our neighbors. We're going to call the police on them if they're rowdy or something.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like there's no trust anymore. Like there's no more etiquette. There's no more courtesy, and it's difficult to have those American values when it's like you're having to watch your back and like be like, oh well, I can't offend or I can't do this, and it's not like I want to offend or I want to do that, but it's at the same time. It's like we need to get back to a sense of trust. And there's nothing charged about that. Trust is you trust your family. Like you said, it's in America. If you're American, you're somewhat closer of a family.
I definitely agree.
I think there needs to be a level of trust. And with that level of trust, there needs to be a level of responsibility. Like we've let many people have their way because they are a certain color of skin, gender, certain small group, a certain group, right? And it's important to trust and have love for everybody. But it's important for everybody to respect and have that, be able to build that trust. Because trust, once it's broken, it's hard to rebuild.
Yes, it is.
So that would be my 3-step plan right there.
I would kind of just keep piggyback on that in terms of just focus on the rebuilding the home.
Rebuilding the home, yes. We've got a lot of broken homes.
And, that's just kind of the way of the world nowadays. And I don't want to say it's good or bad, but it's not good for the kids.
No.
To instantly think, oh yeah, everything will be fine. I'll just go home and I'll deal with it on this end or that end or whatever end. And it's like, no, that doesn't work right, guys. Like, you gotta let us know. And start with your house. Get your house in order, whether that be emotionally, spiritually, health-wise, financially, whatever you need to put into it, that's what you need to start working on. And if you start doing that, then you start helping your neighbor. Then your neighbor's all like, oh, I know this person that down the street that needs that. Then you go to the person down the street. You start working on them that. And it's that trickle effect. And I think we've talked about it before in the past with the movie called Pay It Forward.
Yep.
It's that whole pay it forward mentality. Okay. I'm going to do something big for you. The only thing I ask in turn is you pay it forward to 3 people. I'm not going to ask you to pay me back. I'm not going to ask you to compensate me. I'm not going to ask you to plug me on anything. The only thing I'm going to ask is you pay it forward to 3 different people. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, those 3 people pay it forward to 3 more people. Then those 3 people pay it forward to 5 more people. Then to 6 more people. Then to 7 more people. And next thing you know, everybody's been touched by one of your gifts that you did for a random person. They may not know that, but that's okay. Because they don't need to know about it. They need to know that you're there for them. And if, they need to be there for us, that's what we need to build that trust again. So, and just taking that patriotism back. Like, it's okay to celebrate being an American. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay. But moving on to our newest section of the program, it is our hypothetical fight scene. This one's really good, going along with the whole 4th of July theme. It is going to be in not a traditional fighting scenario where these two would traditionally fight each other, but a one-on-one, no-holds-barred, like bare knuckles bar fight. Okay? It is George Washington and King George. I know for me, George Washington, hands down, would totally whoop the crap out of King George. And I've never even seen pictures of King George.
Okay.
I just know George Washington was a massive person.
He was big for his time.
Yeah, he was like 6'2", and I'm pretty sure he had like a built frame.
Yep.
So.
Yep, I would have to agree. Well, I mean, it's being an American, I'd have to pick the home team here. Pick the one.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I've got George Washington hands down all day.
Yeah.
So I don't care what kind of fight we're doing. We're going to stay away from the traditional colonial fighting.
Without their powers, with their powers.
Yeah, exactly. No, with their armies, without their armies. Speaking of which, that brings up a funny joke.
Okay.
What does a general keep in his sleeves?
What does a general keep in his sleeves?
His armies.
Oh.
Didooch. So, yeah, this is no contest.
Okay.
Dude, George Washington was slightly crazy too.
Yep.
And it's he would scare them and then he'd beat them up.
Okay.
He'd make them do work, then he'd beat them up.
Yep.
He'd make him wash his clothes and then beat him up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he'd just put him to work and then beat him up. That's George Washington for you.
Interesting.
Okay. So that's our hypothetical fight scene. It wasn't quite as juicy as topic-wise because it's so unfair.
Yeah.
But that's all right. It all works out. Next portion of the show is our shout-outs. I'll start. My first shout out is Dr. Jackson, who's a orthopedic that works with shoulders.
Okay.
And I got my left shoulder replaced about 6 years ago, and truthfully, it's not been better since, and it just feels like it's getting worse. And I'm like, this is not good because my shoulder should not be hurting 6 weeks after surgery for a replaced shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
So I finally, just for the fact that I've been going to the doctor so much this year anyways, I'm just like, okay, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to go see another shoulder doctor.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can get some answers. But I've got a CT scan scheduled for Friday at noon. And hopefully they can give me some answers on if I've got anything torn in there. Because they say with the limited range of motion that I have, something has to be torn in there. So hopefully it's nothing major or serious, and we'll kind of take it from there. So my shout out is Dr. Jackson, who's actually giving me some answers.
Nice. You're finally getting those answers.
Yep, I sure am.
And it's going to be tough for my shout out. I think I'm going to have to shout out my folks.
Okay.
I was able to hold a pretty nice party at their place, and they even did the cooking, so.
Are they back from their trip?
Yep, they're back from their trip.
Nice. Where'd they go again?
All over.
All over? They went just driving?
Yep. All over the United States of America.
Really?
They were definitely applying their freedoms to travel between states and whatnot, so thank you, Mom and Dad. Maybe you'll listen to this. Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe you won't. Well, maybe we'll have you on the show one day.
Maybe not.
Well, again, tell us who your shout-outs will be for the week. I was still toying with the idea of shouting out the students that are going to come in.
Honestly, they deserve a shout-out, too.
Yeah, so we'll give them a secondary shout-out. Students, way to keep coming in training that are coming to class. You guys are all rock stars. So to finish up with is just some things that we've got coming out. Things that we got going on in the world. Is anything going on in the dojo world, Stephen?
Nope. Nothing for me. I mean, by the time people listen to this, all the relevant stuff will have passed, so.
Yep. We have Makeup Picture Day on the 29th or 27th? 27th of July.
This month, yep.
Yeah, so we've got that coming up, and then we got a crane test next weekend on the 12th.
13th.
Oh, that's right. It's the 13th.
Saturday, yep.
Saturday the 13th. Okay, I believe that's going to be from 1 to 5. But then Master Martin texted me yesterday, goes, is it 1 to 5 or is it earlier? And I'm like, crap, well, I don't know. So I got to...
1 to 5, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Because you have to do 3 courses, right?
Probably.
Okay.
But I think it'll either be 1 to 3 or 3 to 5.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, let us know what it means to be an American and celebrating your Independence Day. If that's something you like to do, we'd love to hear about it. If it's something you don't like to do, I'd still like to hear about it too and figure out why it is that you don't like doing it. So I'm very proud to be where I am in life.
Wow.
I'm very proud to be an American, very proud and patriotic to live in the country that I live in.
Mm-hmm.
And I relish the fact that I can have arguments with people. Let me reuse that phrase. That I can have discussions with people.
Heated discussions.
I can have discussions with people about things we don't agree with, and we can still be friends with them afterwards.
That's very cool.
Yeah. That's something a lot of people tend to take for granted as well.
Yep.
So the ability to get upset with each other is okay.
That's okay.
It's okay. But thank you for spending the time with us today, you guys. You guys were great. Hopefully you had a wonderful 4th of July. And kick it with us next time, everybody.
Kick it with us next week. Bye, everyone.